Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. Thank you, Tradepass, for giving me this opportunity to present this year. I'll be talking more about cloud strategy this year. So my topic for this event, this summit, is Innovate Rapidly by Digitally Transforming an Enterprise Through a Cloud Strategy, Enabling Business to Accelerate Results is Business Goals and Values Effectively. So I'm Budiman Bujang. I'm from Johor Corporation. I'll be going through what drives the cloud strategy within an organization, what does it mean, how do you prepare them, and what are the main factors behind it on how do you plan out a good cloud strategy for your organization. So first off, since my role is focusing on enterprise architecture, cloud strategy was given birth from the overall EA, which is enterprise architecture. So enterprise architecture is the interaction between the IT components and business processes of the activities within the organization. So I don't want to spend too much time on EA because I touched on this last year. So EA is mainly what we want to focus here is the strategy level, which is the first layer of enterprise architecture. So in Johor Corporation, we are focusing on deriving 100% decision-making through analytics. So that is the main goal that Johor Corporation is trying to achieve. From there, we develop a bunch of strategies which is interrelated within one each other. So one of it is cloud strategy. So what is a cloud strategy? So it refers to an objective and approach so that your organization will be able to develop and leverage cloud computing and services through the cloud service providers. And cloud strategy is a living document. So what's important here that I need to emphasize is that any organizations out there, you need to have your cloud strategy documented because it's a living document. So why I'm saying this? Because every year strategies comes to change. You have changes in leadership management. So a different approach, different focus areas are being done every year. So strategies are being developed and being refined throughout the years as the technology evolves. So it is a living document and it's a group effort, not only IT or digital team within the organization. So it's a group effort which encompasses the business functions and other subsidiaries that you have, if you have a large organization. So the three questions that you tend to ask before developing a cloud strategy is why, which is derived from your business drivers, what, which is your desired outcome, and how, which is your execution plan. And how this tree is, I split it into three bubbles, which is the corporate strategy, cloud strategy, and execution is being split down into three layers, which is one is a long-term plan, another one is mid-term planning, and a short-term planning. So the long-term plan is derived from your corporate strategy. So any IT strategy or digital strategy related needs to be derived from your overall corporate strategy. That's how you develop and refine your strategies, any digital strategy, be it a cloud strategy, data strategy, or anything. It needs to be driven from your corporate strategy because it's a long-term plan, how you see your business in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, or 5 years' time down the road. So mid-term planning is your cloud strategy per se. So strategic plans for your digital can be part of a data strategy, can be part of cloud strategy. So all this needs to be entwined within one each other. And then comes the execution plan, which is the operating plans that you have. So don't get confused between strategy and plans because it's two different things. So strategy is mainly outcome-based and planning is mainly inputs that you receive from your organization. So try to segregate these two. And one of the most important things, the lessons learned that and the challenges that I faced in any organization is developing that cloud strategy council within your organization. So like any council or community, you need to have a leader. So the leader usually is, for cloud strategy, is a cloud strategy leader. And it's best to have an enterprise architecture background because you need certain frameworks to actually drive your strategy. You need to be able to come up with various frameworks. So it can be an enterprise architecture framework, a cloud strategy framework or any implementation plan framework or any adoption plan framework that you can embed into your cloud strategy. So any leaders, be it a cloud strategy leader or enterprise architecture, they receive instructions from the sponsor, the business sponsor. So usually it's your CEO. And CEO usually have a mandate that they want to drive within that financial year. What are the vision, what are the mission that they want to achieve? And all the relevant chiefs are your personas within your organization. So that's where you further refine and validate your need statements from all these chiefs and leaders within the organization. The next one is your digital team itself. So digital team encompasses of IO, infrastructure, and operations. So get the feedbacks from them, how you want to strategize your strategy, what are the plans you need to embed in to actually drive or steer your strategies throughout the organization. And the most important thing, which is usually left out by IT folks, is the business function units within the organization. Those are the key drivers within your organization, the HR folks, finance, governance, and all that. So these are the key person or key people who is driving your strategies at the end of the day, because you need to have their buy-in. They need to sit in the table with you guys when you are developing the strategy, the cloud strategy. And the final one is, if you are a large organization, you need to have buy-in from your business groups. This can be your subsidiaries. For like J Corp, our subsidiaries is called investee companies because J Corp is an investment holding company. So we need to get a buy-in from the subsidiaries, heads, or leaders as well. So once you have this whole ecosystem in place, then you set up this council, get their buy-in so that you can properly plot people in effectively, and then you can actually drive the adoption plan at a later stage or the execution plan at a later stage swiftly. So again, I'm emphasizing here, cloud strategy is a group effort. It's not just IT. Do not work in silo. You need the whole organization to come in play. You need to have everyone's buy-in, not only IT. All right, the most important thing to drive your cloud strategy is the document which I talked about when I started off the presentation today. So a cloud strategy document is mainly a formal document which outlines your organization vision and mission, your goals, what outcome that you want to achieve at the end of the day. So it is a living document. So if you are on Microsoft, just leverage on Teams, invite those council members in your teams and get this document updated from time to time, because you need to align them with various strategies and plans that you have in your organization. So once it's being aligned towards any business functions, any other alignments, be it data strategy, your governance, your policies, and all that, then this living document can be referred to. And there's a continuous plan for your organization to move forward with the evolving technologies that we have outside there in the market. So in a cloud strategy document, it's divided into 7 areas. So first off is the executive summary. So in the blue ones, those blue arrows are what are the items that you ought to put it inside in each of these topics. So for example, like executive summary, you need to have your business drivers. So business drivers are mainly the thing which drives your business. It's not an IT sentiment, it's more towards the business. What does the business wants to do? Right? It's not saying that, oh, I want scalability, I want agility in cloud. Those are IT sentiments. What are business needs? You need to go back and interview your personas, your chief, your leaders within the organization, and try to see what are the goals that they are trying to achieve. The easiest way is to look at your financial year reports and understand the gaps that what the organization is trying to achieve. So from the gaps that you have in your financial report, which is being published every year, but if you are in your organization, you can actually see it every quarter and such. So these are the things that, the areas that you can identify, what are the gaps that you want to identify and derive your business drivers. Next is the Cloud Council that I mentioned just now. You need to have a committee and the vision and mission. Baselines are, the next one is baselines. So baselines are basically what are the things the jargons that you want to use inside your documents. So you need to align your business as well as digital teams. So NIST is one of the terminology that you can use, and is a living document where you can refer to any terminology like PaaS, SaaS, and all that. So you want to get everyone aligned with all these jargons in the cloud. And the outcome base is already defined in baselines and the gaps which I mentioned just now. So brainstorming is where you get the council members to interview or to engage your business users. So your business users, that's where you collect ideas. You establish a center of excellence team, services strategy, what kind of services that you want to adopt in your cloud strategy, be it first cloud move or SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, or anything. So those are the services being offered by your cloud providers. And the next one is your financial strategy. So in a cloud environment, most of the time we move away from CapEx. We are focusing on OpEx, so operating expenditure. So it's much more easier it puts a smile in finance people when you go to an OpEx model compared to a CapEx model. Principles, the next one is principles, is where you validate all those ideas that you have brainstormed. You have validated them, and with the things that you have identified within your organization, you will identify whether it needs a SaaS solution, whether it needs a PaaS solution. And then the cloud first or multi-cloud is something that you need to align with your business strategy. What you want to choose at a later stage is dependent of the outcomes that you have defined earlier. And the inventory is what you have now. Put a check and balance of what you have in your organization. Put a check and balance. If you have an asset management in your organization, that's the best place to start. So keep track of what you have at the moment in your organization and try to see the gaps on how to fulfill those gaps in cloud. Next one is processes and workload. So these are mainly your business processes and workload. So no point of moving into a much more modernized environment if you don't take a look at your current processes. So it can be automations, it can be integrations. So these are the things which is also driving your business drivers, because if you have more integrations, meaning that your people are actually focusing on a much more valuable or strategic task rather than recurring tasks. So one of the things that we focus on J Corp is to eliminate any recurring tasks. So any recurring task can actually be replaced by things like RPAs, robotic process automations, or any automations which is available in the cloud. And I think most of you might have known that Azure has already embedded in ChatGPT. So if you want to develop any services or any applications on Azure, you can actually type in, I want to develop a system which can automate system A and system B. So what this GPT engine would do in Azure is that it will recommend you, these are the services that you need to subscribe, and these are the scripts that you can get up and running. So it's something interesting that you guys can explore on. And the next one is alignment with your governance, your security strategy, or any other strategy which has been in place in your organization. So align them back, put this alignment phase, and define them in your cloud strategy document. The next one, which people tend to forget, is the risk and exit strategy, because people who goes to cloud tends to overspend their resources. So another trap that some of these cloud providers have is the lock-in period, which is 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years down the road because of the discounts that you'll be getting. So you need to have an exit strategy, meaning that how much time you're going to spend on to move your applications out. So eventually we talk about multi-cloud or cloud first just now. So eventually any organization who has already embarked in cloud, one sweet day you will be on a multi-cloud. Like J Corp, we started off with AWS, and now we are on Azure as well. So a multi-cloud environment actually benefits the cost optimization, and it depends on the needs of the organization as well. So some of the features are available in this cloud provider, another one is available in the other cloud provider. And for the redundancy purposes, you tend to need a multi-cloud strategy as well. So pretty much that's what exit strategy. So exit strategy is another framework by itself So I'm not going to dwell on that today. Next one is the use cases in Johor Corporation. So we talked about the brainstorming just now. How do you collect the ideas? How do you collect the gaps within the organization? So in Johor Corporation, we developed a framework which is called RIGHT. RIGHT is Rapid Innovation and Technology Excellence. Basically, we merge innovation and technology excellence into one framework. So this framework actually follows this flow, which is recipe, as we call it. So rethink, we start off with rethink, we think about what we want to do for the organization in the long run, and then we clarify them piece by piece or in a smaller portion, and then ideate those ideas. So we have collected the ideas, we are now expanding it so that it becomes use cases. So depending on what use cases is needed, that's where you pick and choose what are services, what are strategy, what are plans that you want to be used in play. And then next one is the prototype building. So you build them in smaller pieces. So we call it MVP, minimum viable product. So you build it small and you test it out and you validate it throughout your business. That's where you can see failures fast. You don't actually test it out once you develop the final product. As you develop the product in a smaller incremental phase, that's where you can identify what needs to be improved and such. So that's where the experiment comes in. So once all this flow has been gone through, hence you will be coming out with your product with the outcome that you want to deliver at the end of the day. All right, in the right people is actually the council that I talked about just now. Sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it's permanent. So within JCorp, this is how we derive all the people to be engaged within one each other. So it goes not only in depth, it goes vertical as well in a 3D model that from JCorp, it goes through its subsidiaries, which is Kulim, JLG, KPJ, and QSR. And within those subsidiaries, we are also looking into the business functions that we have on each of the subsidiaries. So we look at it holistically, not within the group level, but as well as the subsidiaries. So in the enterprise architecture, which I mentioned in my first deck just now, I personally look at the commonalities within the organization. So what are the common things that you can consolidate within your organization? That not only contributes towards cost optimization, but we are heavily focusing on integration and collaboration. So whenever you develop a strategy, of course, there will be an investment which comes end of the day. Try not to talk about cost because it's always an investment. Focus on how those strategies or any frameworks that you develop can help the business, not IT, but help the business to achieve its core mission and vision. So I think this is my second last deck. So what are the things that you need to avoid in a cloud strategy? So these are the main 5 things that I faced throughout various organizations. These are the 5 main things. The first one is steering as if it's an IT strategy. So that is something so wrong because, IT folks, digital folks needs to move out from that bubble saying that business needs to align with IT. It should be the other way around. IT or digital needs to align with business, with a corporate strategy. The second one is not having an exit strategy. That makes you stuck into a specific cloud provider or a specific solution. For example, if you are subscribing to a SaaS solution, then you'll be stuck there if you don't have an exit strategy to come out. Do not feel afraid to develop this exit strategy because, of course, it comes with cost and time, but you need to focus on the corporate strategy or your business outcomes. The third one is not appointing a strategy lead or any enterprise architecture within your organization because these are the people which has that knowledge, which is practicing a certain framework for enterprise architecture or any strategy practices out there in the market. So appoint one and have them one in your organization. The fourth one is assuming cloud strategy is an implementation plan, which is wrong as well because strategy, like you mentioned, strategy is an outcome-based. Planning is something that you have inputs within your organization. Try to segregate these two because implementation plan tends to talk about IT. Your cloud strategy tends to talk about business. The fifth one is not measuring the success metrics. So any strategies that you develop, be it a cloud strategy or any other digital strategy, you need to map it out with any values that the business wants to achieve. For Jacob, we have identified about 30 elements of VCP, which is a value creation plan. So whatever digital transformation initiative that we do, we will map it to the VCP. All right, so for my last deck, this is our belief within Jacob. We trust these four fundamental areas. First one is think big. We always think big, think about the bigger picture for the organization, and then we tend to start small. Start small by experimenting it, get it validated with your business user, and fail fast. The third one is fail fast. So if you know whatever you're doing is not working, do not be afraid to stop it and move on. So the fourth one is actually scale to success immediately. All right, that's the end of my deck today. All right, thank you guys for listening. I'm Budi, I'm from Johor Corporation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Budiman Bujang.